Ladies and gentlemen, while I go ahead and get this set up here, because this is how the game defaults every single time I load it. Actually, let's get rid of this. Make it easier to see. There we go. Over here, and then down here. There we go. Ah, BioWare. So many other games have this resolution problem. It's really quite frustrating. Moving on. So, while I was watching the kiddos this morning, the middle one was telling me a story. See, apparently there's this thing, rainbow magic, okay? Now, if you're hit by rainbow magic, it turns you into a unicorn. And that's cool. And different types of magic will turn you into different types of thing. But here's the thing. If you eat magic, it causes damage to you internally, and that turns you into undead. So, like, if you eat magic, you will become like a zombie. And if as a zombie you eat magic, you turn into a skeleton. As a skeleton, you'll turn into a ghost. Then you can't eat anymore because you're a ghost. Furthermore, obviously, if you, like, get hit by rainbow magic, which turns you into a unicorn, and then eat the magic that you were hit by, you will turn into a zombie unicorn. Make sense? And she was telling me this whole story about this and her evil queen, who nobody wants to listen to, but everyone has to, even though they don't want to, because the evil queen has access to rainbow magic and blah, 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 blah. And as she's telling me this whole story, I couldn't help but feel that it was more coherent and well thought out than a weirdly large amount of the stories I've covered lately. And I'm not saying that to be facetious. It really did seem more coherent than some of the stuff we've looked into lately. There it goes. God, that took forever. Yeah, better story than Starfield. Oh, jeez. Anyways.
Oh,
so let's have a chat, shall we? I'll talk to Gil in a second. So here's the dealio, alright? I played for about 2 hours off camera yesterday night while I was doing other stuff. And during that 2 hours, I managed to walk around and talk to people. That's it. It took me 2 hours to do a portion of sweeping of all of the tasks and side quests on the Nexus and on Kadara, the planet we were just on. That's the 2 zones I managed to hit. I was hoping to sweep a whole, like, basically everything. Get rid of all the tasks, get all the waypoints, and then be able to do the actual quests on camera. I only managed 2 zones. So, what's wrong with that picture? Now, the obvious answer is padding. That is to say seconds and minutes, to be more specific. Because it just takes too long to go from point A to point B and interact with stuff, and that's just irritating, right? So, yeah. That's its own problem, which we've already dinged, and I have nothing else to add to. None of the story that was covered was worth noting, except for one tidbit. I actually wrote it down. I actually was taking notes of story just to make sure I wouldn't forget anything. And only one thing felt noteworthy as far as taking. Note-taking, you know what I mean. But here's the real problem, and I mean this sincerely. Let's talk about game design for a second. Let's get some music going. Let's get this music going. This feels like good music for this discussion. So, let's talk game design for a second, okay? Now, this has actually come up recently, because we've covered several of these lately. RPGs, in the overwhelming majority of RPGs, sit on 3 principal pillars, okay? How these exactly are fleshed out as, or how they are expressed kind of varies, but you've got combat, you've got exploration, which is usually dungeon crawling and puzzle solving, and then you've got town. Now, town can still be an aspect of gameplay, and often is. You've usually got little secret puzzles to do, or side treasure to find, and of course everything to do with inventory management, shops, stuff like that, right? A lot of that stuff is done in the town. A huge amount of RPGs, they focus on the menuing side of things in town, right? You know, you're supposed to go to town and be like, oh, hey, let's go ahead and rejigger this and push this here, and I want to equip this slot with this thing, and I'm going to put this materia here, I'm going to put this gem into this item, and I'm going to put this rune word onto this item, and so forth and so on, right? So all three of these things are still an aspect of gameplay, not just story. For the moment, we're going to leave story out of this, because story doesn't really have anything to do with this discussion. So, the combat in Mass Effect Andromeda is honestly really good. If anyone's been paying attention to the document, which I am keeping up to date as best as I can, although I haven't had a chance to type my thoughts yet, I'm actually still really impressed with the combat. It is smooth, it is snappy, and it's fun, which makes sense. It's shooting gameplay in a Frostbite engine. I would be shocked if it was bad. So the combat's fine. No real problems there. It even has better enemy design than I remembered, so that's nice. Not really any boss design, but that's unrelated. The encounter design has its own issues, but I'm getting off topic. So, okay, combat's fine. Cool. Dungeon? Well, there's not really a lot of dungeons so far. It's mostly the vault, and most of those involve just running around and interacting with things. So the dungeon explore elements aren't super great as far as dungeoning, but then I started thinking about it. Several of the overworlds, most notably EOS, which is the one that's impressed me the most so far, actually have legitimate elements of overworld design to them. Density, traversal, guidance, indicators, you know, stuff to do as you're roaming around and doing. So that fulfills the explore element. Okay, no real issues with either of those. Not really. But then there's the town sections. And the town sections suck. I have no nicer way to phrase this. Here's the deal. The first and most obvious issue with the town sections is most of the gameplay of the town sections involves going back, being like, boop, yes, I want to pick this stuff up. Boop, yes, I want to research these things, and then going back out into the wilds, right? So as far as like the navigation of menuing and the setting up for the next expedition, that kind of a thing, there's not much meat on the bones. Now, that's not the end of the world, but it is threadbare to the point where it's barely even worth mentioning. Which I say because that leaves the rest of the town sequences, which is very slowly wandering around, very slowly going through load screens, which you cannot skip, and then very slowly navigating to your next destination. And the entire time you're dealing with a map and menu that are not particularly well designed in general. I cannot tell you how many times last night I found myself wishing I had a freaking mini-map to help me navigate where the hell I was going. There were multiple times where I would actually go buy a quest objective without actually realizing it because it wasn't showing up on the compass towards the top. And then when I went and selected the quest proper, trying to figure out where it was, I realized it was like 5 feet behind me. So, map, navigation, and just general pacing as well as the load times. Now, we've actually given negatives to pretty much all of that. But the real thing I want to bring up is separate from all of that. How much of this playthrough have we spent in the towns? Percentage-wise, do you think? I did a little back-of-the-envelope math, so I have a figure. It's not very accurate, but I did a back-of-the-envelope map, and 80% would be a little bit high. If we spent 80% of our time in towns, we're playing the wrong game. No, it's closer to about 60. But still, 60%, 2/3 of the game, roughly, obviously this is estimated, is spent navigating towns. Now, I think a lot of that is specifically because of the problem of, you know, going through and how long it takes to get from point A to point B. But I had another thought, because I was actually chatting with a friend while I was doing a lot of these quests, and he and I were bouncing ideas back and forth. And I think it feels like 80%, because I think what happened is, given how under the gun and extraordinarily damaged this game was as far as sabotage, which, by the way, I have new details about that to share with you. I feel like they realized that making town content takes way less time than anything else. Designing a dungeon, designing an overworld zone, setting up an encounter, setting up a combat sequence, setting up a boss, that takes time and effort and work. But by contrast, setting up a town sequence, let me walk you through just one of the quests I did. Quests, I really put that in quote-unquotes. Talk to NPC, okay. Interact with thing, interact with thing, interact with thing, done. How much time do you think it took the developers to make that quest? Let's ignore voice acting time for just for the sake of argument. And that's my point. In a nutshell, I feel like they were so under the gun. Yeah, exactly. I feel like they were so under the gun, and I don't blame them for that, obviously, that... Yeah, exactly, Roman Cure. Like, it's just a few triggers and just a few dialogues. The majority of the work there would be getting the actor in the booth to read their lines. And that's it. And I feel like they lean so heavily, because I didn't do, like, 1 or 2 quests last night. I did, like, 30. I did a huge quantity of quests, and they just kept happening. Some of them would unlock new quests. Some of them would flesh out into other things. Also, I'm sorry, this is unrelated, but really quick. Where is it? Do you see this quest right here? This is the worst quest in the goddamn game. I'm not actually joking. How many of you are aware of the Remnant Data Cores quest? So for those of you who aren't, there are 9 data cores, most of which are found in the vaults. Several of the vaults are actually optional vaults, so you don't really have to interact with them. Some of them, so quite a few of the vaults are one and done. In other words, you can only go through the vault once. In other words, if you miss the data core in that vault, it's gone. So it's also spread out across the entire game, because there's tons of vaults across tons of planets. That makes sense. So you get this quest right at the beginning. It was one of the first tasks we got. You won't finish this until a planet we haven't even reached yet in our playthrough. And if you don't get some of the vault pieces, they're gone, and you have to either reload a previous save, hope you've been saving regularly, or just live without it being completed. Now, what do you think the reward is for this quest? You know what I'm going to say. There is no story. There's no armor. There's no clothes. You get a bit of experience, just like you would any other task. You remember how I keep commenting how the quests just kind of stop really abruptly? That was true all last night, too. All the quests and tasks that we're doing, which is like, oh, yeah, sure. And the quest is over. The Remnant Data Course is the same thing. Once you finish it, it's done. Task complete. There's a little green thing in the upper right, and you get some credits and some experience. That's it. So, I know that's a lot to take in. And I don't want to review this game worse, but the problem is, this sucks. So, we've got stuff that takes too long to do, there's too much of it in general, and there's too much of it in terms of ratio compared to the rest of the gameplay. We spent a decent chunk of time on the Citadel in Mass Effect 1, but I guarantee it wasn't more than 30% of the game time of Mass Effect 1. And the fourth and final thing is it's not rewarding. The ridiculous majority of things don't give you anything other than experience and credits, and that's it. And yay, but that's it. That's not great. And so we sort of have to decide how many negatives this gets, because someone somewhere really, really dropped the ball on this. Probably because of what I'm about to share with you. So feel free to type any thoughts or comments you have on that while I tell you the next thing. Because as I've just mentioned, I found out even more about how sabotage this game was. Check this out, right? Everybody knows this was done by the BioWare Montreal studio, aka the people who worked on Mass Effect 3's multiplayer. What you may or may not know is that the main BioWare team, the core A-listers at BioWare, were working on another game at the time. Anthem. I'll just let that sit there for a second. So the main BioWare team was otherwise unavailable for assistance or side work or consultation or basically anything. The Montreal team reportedly, and I've seen several interviews about this, so I'd say this is sufficiently corroborated, reached out to the central BioWare team and said, hey, help. And the grand total of the help they got was, don't touch on the Mass Effect 3 endings. That's it. So the Montreal team was kind of left to their own devices and just kind of told to make do with whatever. Hang on, it gets worse. Because of the nature of how development works, development on this game had already been... I'm saying this wrong. Development on this game had started basically around the time Inquisition was finishing development. Okay? Relevance? For Inquisition, they came up with a lot of custom modules and scripts to make Inquisition work. Remember, as we talked during Inquisition, they had no idea what they were doing with the Frostbite engine. It was Frostbite 3, which was relatively new at that point in time, and they were still struggling to make it work for an RPG or menus. And so they came up with several tips in Inquisition, and yeah, they didn't get help for that, so they came up with all that stuff. So all those people, all that Inquisition help never came over to Andromeda. In other words, this is the second time in a row that a BioWare studio has had to make up stuff from scratch in order to make an RPG work in the Frostbite engine. So the menus in this game and the NPC interactions, the animations, all that stuff, even just basic stuff like the world design, they had to invent on the fly from scratch, just like the Inquisition team did, but with much less support. In fact, they had so little support that the next thing that happened was EA was like, oh my god, this game's taking too long to make. I've got an idea. Let's outsource parts of it. So they outsourced to 2 studios. I forget the names. Please don't make me go look it up. But there's 2 separate studios they outsourced it. One studio, they outsourced the vehicle stuff, which actually turned out pretty good, so good on that. And the other team, they outsourced it to did the animation work. Yeah, all of a sudden, it makes a lot more sense, doesn't it? Here's the thing. I decided to go down a bit of a rabbit hole on that animation thing with that other studio. It turns out what they did was and some of us knew this because of the bug that they fixed at launch. There was a program that was designed to essentially automate animation. Now, anybody who's ever worked in animation knows that that is actually a very good first step in animating a large number of animations in a game. The second step is going back through and seeing and taking notes about what kind of things need to be polished. And the third step is actually going back through on a scene-to-scene basis and manually touching up on those animations. Usually some camera work is associated with that as well, right? I actually have a specific example of that for you, Witcher 3. Witcher 3, for those of you who don't remember, actually uses the BioWare style cutscene. Almost one-to-one, actually. But a lot of people don't even recognize that because of the quality of the cutscenes, because of how much time and effort they spent manually going through and adjusting the animations as they go. Yeah, exactly, Roman Cure. That's essentially what they did. Obviously, this was before the AI boom, but still, same general concept. So yeah, step 2 and 3 never happened. So they fired it off and said, here you go, have fun. And the main team, the Montreal team, who was just up to here in garbage as they're trying to get this game shippable and functional, was not allowed the time and resources. They were flat out told, by the way, we're not going to let you touch up these animations. You don't have time, and that would take extra budget. I should also mention that Andromeda was one of the most expensive games BioWare had pushed out for a while. Not because it was a particularly expensive game, but because of all the sabotage. Remember, the single most expensive thing in any game development is time. Time equals salaries, right? So the fact that Inquisition was taking... not Inquisition, sorry, Andromeda. The fact that Andromeda was taking so long was making it cost more and more and more. The fact that they had to farm out to 3 total studios simultaneously to make it cost was costing even more. Which made EA get more nervous about it and try to push the launch date even further up to try and reduce the costs. Now, some of you probably remember that launch date was missed, and they ended up pushing it back because the game was just not playable. It was just in a non-functional state. And I know what you're thinking, that was the game at launch. No, I mean literally non-functional. There were actually game-breaking bugs and inability to progress things in the game. So they had to do like a last-minute crunch session in order to get this crap figured out. And here we go. And yeah, I'm not even going to talk about the ProcGen experiment. I haven't even talked about that. You guys have. Several people have mentioned it in chat. For those of you who don't remember, the ProcGen experiment was they wanted to have No Man's Sky style worlds. Essentially procedurally generated on the fly or per save, so that you have a brand new world, like your playthrough or your second playthrough or whatever is going to have a different world to go explore. That went nowhere. It took about 2 years for them to finally understand that that wasn't going to work. Exactly, Kira White knows. And, you're... Actually, yeah, Loner, pretty similarly. Or Starfield, or, again, No Man's Sky was stated as a specific inspiration for that idea. Several times. The thing is, well, that's a nice idea, and I even get where they're going with that, legitimately, because that sounds like a terrible idea, but it's actually not, as Loner just said. Being able to do... I forget what it's called. It's not fully procedurally generated. It's like the puzzle piece design, right? You've got, like, this puzzle piece, which is like town, and then you've got this puzzle piece, which is like other town, and then you've got like dungeon here, and then you put puzzle pieces that connect with each other in a way so that you have essentially a randomized sequence of how your world looks until you get to it, right? That's how games like that function. And yeah, there also has to be a lot of complexity to it. The thing is, while that can work, it can't work in Frostbite. Frostbite has major issues with several things. We've already pointed out the obvious ones, like menuing, animations, dialogue options, just a lot of more basic interfacey stuff. But what you might also not know is that Frostbite is really, really bad at large areas. The larger, the worse. There's a reason why Eos is the only really big open world in Andromeda. Also, cough, cough, Inquisition. So it doesn't handle large areas very well. It doesn't handle verticality very well. Think about how vertical several of the areas are in this freaking game. And it doesn't handle any kind of interaction that doesn't involve shooting something, which also helps to explain why literal things like talking to an NPC are janky in this game. So do you think that engine, which can barely handle things like size and height, could handle procedural generation? Spoilers, no. Damn. So, yeah, no, I don't particularly blame the devs of Andromeda, because they were chopped off at the knees like... six times? No, 7 times, excuse me. I forgot the lack of support from Central BioWare about what Mass Effect is. 7 separate times they were told to piss off, and Andromeda is what they got as a result. Fun fact, by the way, while I was digging into this, I found out that they also wanted more alien races, more of the Mass Effect races, like things like the Hanar or the Elcor. Frostbite was having trouble handling that. And remember, because of the lack of support and because of the nature of development cycles, they had no idea what they were doing, and they had to invent stuff from scratch in order to make anything work. So making something like Elcor work would involve designing a method to render something that is a non-humanoid from scratch. If you pay attention, there's only actually 3 types of riggings in the entire game. I was thinking about this last night. There's your standard humanoid. Yeah, that makes sense. That's what Frostbite's good at. There's things that have no rigging at all. They're just like hovering drones or whatever. And then there's 4-legged creatures. And I have this weird feeling that the 4-legged creatures were kind of added after the fact. Because that's it. I know, there's the worm thing, too. That's fair. I'll give you the worm thing, so that's 4. We haven't even seen the 4th thing yet, but it's there. Yeah. Yeah, if the Central BioWare team had actually been willing to reach out to and support... Yeah, but this is why I put this music on. You probably guessed that. If the original BioWare team, the Central BioWare team, had been willing to reach out and support Montreal, we might have had better stuff here. Because, again, they already invented a lot of crap for Inquisition. But no. Moving on.
Hey there.
Hey yourself.
Question for you.
Shoot.
When all this craziness is over, you think you'll have kids?
Where the heck's that coming from?
Jill, the best friend I mentioned while you were killing me at poker. She's starting the initiative's first repopulation effort at Prodromos. It's all she can talk about. It got me thinking. At the end of the day, this whole thing, the Andromeda Initiative, we're basically here to spawn.
Took you this long to figure that out?
I told you, I didn't really think this thing through. But nothing we do here really matters unless we survive. Jill's right. At some point soon, we better get busy making babies.
True enough.
Who knew this thing was just a glorified dating service? Eesh. The biological imperative is kind of a bummer.
So, you want to have a child of your own?
I don't know. That's never been a thing for me. You know me. Whatever my gut says in the moment, I do, and I don't look back. My mom says that's how my dad was. I wouldn't know. His gut moved on before I was born.
I had no idea. It must have been hard.
Hey, I turned out all right. He did his part, brought me into the world. Maybe that's enough. Thanks for talking, Ryder.
Yeah, they continue to be teenagers. Whoa there. It's a reset.
Devil's advocate, okay? Go for it. With the Ket entrenched here and things as they are, maybe we should focus our efforts on leaving this cluster.
You mean quit? Run away?
Well, we came to find a new home, not a new enemy, right?
We knew this was a possible scenario, and we took the jump anyway.
What she said.
Also, this is kind of a spoiler, the Ket are an interstellar power, so they're not just here. So, you know. Oh no, this game, I feel so bad for the developers of this game. I feel like I say that a lot. Sometimes I have vitriol for the developers of a game. Starfield, excuse me. But other times it's just sad. Like, I guess I should have a quest. God, I have so many quests to do right now. Alright, let's go ahead and work on these priority ops first of all. Yeah. Back to main quest. I was actually thinking about it. I would finish, even with the truncated thing, I could probably finish the MSQ today. If I really wanted to. Because the MSQ is really, really short in this game. It's not actually a complaint, it's just interesting. Flashing lights warning. There's that black hole again. It's never relevant, as a reminder.
Ryder, we're getting a lot of Ketcom chatter.
Keep us stealthed, Callow. No sense picking a fight just yet.
So while we're here, Kira White Noise mentioned an idea that kind of stuck with me. She mentioned the possibility that maybe this is actually a direct sequel to the Control ending back in Mass Effect 3. Now, I know what you're going to say, but I hate you and your ugly, stupid, worthless, disgusting face, and I hope you die! And that's true. But regardless of that, hear me out, because there's a lot of sense in this. Yeah, blue ending. Check this out. So, a lot of people... Here, I'll just read what she said here. The initiative is born under a desire to strike out from their own by people who are unhappy or suspicious of Overlord Shepard. This is post-Mass Effect 3, so we can include any race we want to. It's post-Control, so Geth are there, AI is there, mechs are there, etc. And there's a lot of anti-AI bias. There's a lot less pickiness about the best of the brightest. So you don't actually get the, the cream of the crop to go settle a new galaxy. Instead, you get whoever's willing to sign up for this, which would also explain a lot about what's going on with the outliers here. It would also be the kind of thing that Overlord Shepard would probably allow, because Overlord Shepard isn't that controlling, despite the name of the ending. So it's more like, yeah, okay, sure, you can go leave if you want to. And there's one other thing that she mentioned. I guess that's actually it. Yeah, no, that's it. So, it did, but like this, obviously we're kind of rewriting the idea, Arzal. Because the problem is, you're right, this left before the beginning of Mass Effect 3, actually. This left right towards the end of Mass Effect 2, is when they set sail. One thing that's actually, so this is just like a hypothetical rewrite kind of thing, like how this could make more sense. One thing that actually is in the game, I mentioned I was jotting down notes of things that were interesting in that story. And in 2 hours, I came up with one note that was interesting. It turns out that all of the data that they had on the Andromeda Galaxy, all the scans and all the Helios cluster stuff, all came from the Geth. Because the Geth had pointed a huge number of satellites and scanners out into dark space for some reason. I just thought that was interesting. All right, moving on. God, do you have to blind me with the lens flares?
Pathfinder, sensors confirm the presence of the Archon's ship.
Game.
Damned. It
Oh,
worked.
there we go.
But there's something else. That's an initiative ship tethered to it. It's Archon.
Confirmed. It matches the Solarian Ark. Readings suggest it has been here for some time.
Well, that changes things.
That's how big the Ket ship is, by the way. There's that thing compared to a freaking Ark ship, which isn't even really a ship. It's more like a space station that moves. Okay, who should we bring for this mission? Let's bring... Let's see. We could bring Liam. Hey. You know you want me to bring Liam. Let's actually bring our A squad for this.
It's true then? We found the Solarian Ark?
Sam, tactical. It looks like the Archon captured it. The ships are tethered.
What's the plan?
I'm working on it. Sam, connect me to the Moshai.
On screen.
Ryder, it's good to see you again.
We've located the Archon ship. It's more complicated than we thought, so I wanted to make sure we knew what we were looking for.
It was a large remnant relic depicting Meridian. It's in his private chamber. His sanctum, he called it. He's very proud of that relic.
That's what we needed. I appreciate it.
And I appreciate what you're doing for all of us. But be careful. I've seen the Archon's cruelty. I hope you don't.
That makes 2 of us. Thank you for your help, Moshai.
Of course. I wish you well.
Okay, we play this right. Not only do we get away with the relic, we save the Solarians. I say we get onto the Ark, assess the situation, then sneak onto the Ket ship through the tether.
A feasible approach. Currently, Ark Pachero is on standby. Only its stasis facilities are online.
What about the Solarians?
Unknown.
You heard the Moshai. Who knows what the Archon's capable of?
If he's done anything to those Solarians, he'll find out what we can do.
Ryder? Whatever you need. Those are my people.
We'll get them back.
That's
Now let's make this one
such
count.
a bad line reading. Oh my god. And yes, Loner, correct. And yeah, I agree, Bregman.
Tempest, we're in.
Like,
So far, no unusual.
this being a follow-through on Control makes a lot more sense than what it actually is.
Pathfinder, if you access a terminal, I can assess the situation.
Alien vessel detected in the system. Effective meaning all external communications restricted to avoid giving away position. Unknown celestial phenomenon continues to disrupt just long-range scans. Okay. In fact, it just occurs to me, it's even stupider because the one thing they got from the Central Bioware team is don't touch the Mass Effect 3 ending. Why?
Accessing Ark Pachero's internal systems. A moment. Additional data encryption has been added.
When has that ever stopped you, Sam?
Never. It was a cryptography key associated with Solarian intelligence services. I have unlocked it.
The Andromeda Initiative encompasses all colonization efforts, including ARCs, Pathfinders, outposts, and the central support hub, the Nexus.
This is Captain Hager of Ark Pachero. If you are receiving this message, hostile aliens have captured our ship. Please look for our Pathfinder, Zevon Reka. Situation urgent.
Well, that was clear enough. Let's find him.
Overriding bulkhead door.
I mean, I've said this before and I'll say this again. BioWare was never a good developer. They got lucky more than they should have.
Damn.
And they had a few talented people working there, but BioWare as a whole has never been a good developer.
So it's flight ready.
Yes.
Ryder, are you thinking of?
Easiest way to save everyone is to take the whole Ark with us.
Easy isn't the word I'd use.
If the right Solarians are still on board, this might work.
No bodies, no signs of a fight.
Did the
No,
Solarians
Kennex Scout.
just surrender?
Let's hope their Pathfinder can make sense of it.
What do you mean, how so? Like, I'm sorry, at this point in time, I have professionally covered almost every BioWare game. I feel pretty firm in that opinion. Like, that's not something that's just coming out of nowhere. If you look at the development, I've done a lot of research on the development of BioWare games. Probably more than I have most other franchises. And I'm not going to comment on those, Loner. And the more I researched, the more I learned that a lot of these games, frankly, got lucky. That they happened into success, or things managed to come together, or they had enough talented people dragging them forward that there was enough good elements that it turned into a good game, etc., etc. And every single one of their 20s that they had on the dice were situations where they happened to get lucky. The thing that probably should have happened is Anthem. I've said this before and I'll say this again. Anthem is what should happen when their management style and their development approach is put into action. But they got lucky. And so they got lucky, and then they got lucky again, and then they made... Well, you could say it started a while ago, but really Anthem is kind of the thing that really just kind of chunked everything there. Because... Well, they finally rolled a 1. Because Anthem is garbage. And we know they relied on their BioWare magic, aka lack of development, lack of management, lack of coordination. Like, to put this into contrast, the BioWare magic... Yeah, Neverwinter Nights 1 is still the best gameplay of the BioWare games I've played so far, with the possible exception of Mass Effect 2. It's one of those two. I've never reviewed Neverwinter Nights 1, but I have also played it very recently in a co-op thing, so yeah. But yeah, so the World of Warcraft has been knocking it out of the park recently. And the biggest reason why, bar none, is a restructuring of management and an improvement of office working conditions. Those two things are central pillars that have been absolutely holding up Dragonflight and War Within. And the results speak for themselves, ignoring the obvious fact that the game has just been popping. The fact of the matter is it's also been very, very successful. The most successful has been basically ever in terms of actual financial returns on the game. So, woo, right? And that is a direct result of actually having a decent management staff who actually knows what the hell they're doing. To completely contrast this, I'm not going to use BioWare as an example, I'll use Starfield, another game I've looked into quite a bit. And Starfield's management style was approximately everyone just works on whatever and nobody really talks to each other. I'm not even talking about the central design document thing. That's actually more complicated than people make it out to be. The irrelevant part here is that teams were not coordinating with each other when they were designing Starfield. And it shows. There's so many plot points and character points and gameplay systems that do not cohese with each other in Starfield. Which makes sense, because like if I'm over here making my ship designer thing, and you're over here making your space combat thing, and you're over here making your mission design, none of us are talking to each other, right? That's BioWare. That has been BioWare's approach for a very long time. They've... now, this... I'm going to enter opinion now. Everything I've said up to this point is fact. Let's enter opinion for a moment. My opinion, and this is why I say they've never actually been good developers, is that they lucked into something, it worked, and so they kind of let it ride, to use the gambling metaphor. And they just kept rolling the dice. And while they had a few 5s and 8s and 15s, they never really rolled a 1, right? So they just kind of kept letting it ride. Anthem, really, like a lot of people point to some of the games like Andromeda, which wasn't the BioWare team, so it doesn't count, or Mass Effect 3 as the moment when they rolled a 1. But no, Anthem was the 1. Anthem was when they finally stopped being able to coast on luck and lack of management. And Anthem was trash! So go figure. And yeah, Anthem was just such a pulling down of the veil. A lot of the studies, interviews, and research on how BioWare worked internally came as a direct result of Anthem making people be like, hold on a second. Let's peek behind the curtain a little bit. Oh God, why is everything on fire? Why has everything been on fire for like 15 years? That's why I say that. I'm with Mr. Red. The fact that any of their games are as good as they are is honestly something of a miracle.
This Solarian shows no vital signs. This colonist is deceased. The medical terminal may provide more information.
What do their records say about the Solarian, Sam?
He is identified as Pathfinder 7 Raker.
Shit. The guy we're looking for. We can't catch a break.
We're still more fortunate than him. However, initiative records indicate Pathfinder Raker is female. This patient is male.
What? Then who is this, really?
I have his DNA signature from your scan. Locate a sequencer to confirm his identity.
By agreement of the ARC senior leadership, cease all defensive operations against the alien vessel. Risk of catastrophic damage to the Arcan colonists is too high. There's that answered.
The DNA of the deceased Solarian matches colonist Jex Arlen.
So they switched them, trying to hide their Pathfinder. Let's check this colonist stasis pod, see if anyone's there.
I've marked the pod row.
Typical Solarians, all smoke and mirrors.
I don't remember when the term AAA started being used, but the concept of the AAA has been around for a while. I'd say at least since the 90s.
Pod's gone.
I'd like to think they got away before the Ket showed up.
The Solarian captain was too worried for that.
It appears the Ket have been offloading pod. This isn't the pod we're looking for.
Hello, Czar. While I was doing some research, I found out some of the other bugs that they had to squash. For example, there's a boss fight, which has to do very custom animations. However, if one of the characters in your party happens to start doing a line of dialogue while the boss is still showing up, then what's going to happen is the boss will freeze and no longer be able to do any of his animations, which makes the boss fight very easy. But here's the thing. The boss fight doesn't have health in the traditional sense of the word. So when his health hits 0, rather than him just dying, what's supposed to happen is a script's supposed to trigger. But he's frozen, so he can't run any scripts. Soft lot.
This is the deceased Solarian's pod, yet I detect a female Solarian inside.
I think we found their Pathfinder. Let's get her out.
You need to access stasis controls to revive her.
Hey there. Take it slow.
No need. I'm fine. Solarian stasis recovery is almost immediate. Who are you?
Sarah Ryder, Pathfinder for the Human Ark.
Where's Alec?
He didn't make it.
madness. Stasis was a mistake. I should never have agreed to it.
I like her armor. Except for the glowy bits.
Tell me what you're doing.
Seeing what I've woken up to. A hostile species, an armada, set upon us. Our captain saw no choice but surrender. Said we'd live to fight another day. He convinced me to hide in the general population and to dismantle my SAM so we wouldn't fall into enemy hands. But we're still in their grasp, I see.
That's about to change.
We're heading into the Ket vessel to gather intelligence. Wake up a flight crew and ready the Ark for escape. On my signal.
That'll be no trouble. And then I'll work on freeing the Ark, so you can focus on your objective.
Do what you can, but stay quiet. We don't want to alert the enemy.
Yes, of course.
I'm keying you into our comms. We'll stay in touch.
Hello, Pathfinder Raker.
Ah, a SAM in my head again. I'm back in the game. We'll be ready, Ryder.
Why are we giving her orders considering we're the
Tempest,
teenage
we're the tether.
newbie?
Going across to the Ket ship now.
So far, there are no indications they're aware of your presence. Good luck, Pathfinder.
Like, you caught the tone of that scene, right? Which was, don't worry, we got this. It's gonna be okay.
I think they noticed.
We walked right into that one.
Don't let them have the high ground.
I mean, yeah, the answer to every question I could point out. Every nitpick and every negative I could give this game could be answered by, they were doing their best.
They threw us one hell of a welcome party.
We're clear! So much for sneaking in.
What now?
If you locate a terminal, I may be able to analyze their systems.
Door's locked over here.
Hello, Nexus of Concordia. Hello, Act.
Accessing the ship's systems now. I have located the Archon's private chamber.
What's their security situation look like?
An alert was issued, but I have countermanded it. The delay is only temporary.
Right, we need to hurry.
Hey, Seth.
Is the Archon in his quarters?
That information is not accessible. Only the room's location.
Oh man, I can't wait to give Equinox a black rating when we get there.
The Moshai said the relic would be in his chamber.
Screw
Let's
that
get there.
episode. Or, I mean, it's a great episode.
Ryder,
I thought you were on the Ark.
too many of our people are missing.
If we don't find them now, we never will.
This is Hager, captain of our Ark. We'll focus on the rescue while you push ahead.
A secondary route is available, marking nav point.
We'll help you get on your way.
I mean, yeah, Andromeda's made by a different studio.
I can override the door.
Fight.
And all I've ever done is pilot ships. That doesn't mean I just roll over and die. We can do this.
Captain Hager is right. Our people need us. We have to answer the call.
I used to repair FTL drives on Surkesh. I could probably rig up some surprises for the Ket.
Good. We have to be clever, improvise, and stick to the shadows.
Speaking of which, negative to gameplay. Overly skippable cutscenes. If you're wondering why I was just idling there, as with quite a few games, it is entirely too easy for cutscenes to talk over each other and for you to miss stuff. GTA 4 syndrome, if you will. So, yeah. Would it be better if this game didn't exist? So, the Mass Effect franchise almost died because of this game directly. Not because it was a complete financial flop. Actually, it sold surprisingly well. However, the game was also extremely expensive. Not because of the fact that it was particularly, because of everything I talked about earlier. Because it was so sabotaged, which made it take absolutely forever, right? because it was so delayed, because it was so sabotaged, because it had so many issues under the hood, it was more expensive, which meant it needed to make more money, which it super didn't. They were actually quoting sales figures that would be roughly the same as Mass Effect 1 and 2 and 3 combined. Andromeda did well. It didn't do that well. Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing that happened with Solo, a Star Wars story. It's not like it didn't make money, but it was too expensive, so that was the end of that. So they pulled the plug on Mass Effect and didn't unplug it until the Legendary Editions were released. And that was done very specifically as a way to test the waters to see how people thought about the franchise. And I know what you're thinking. But Lar! I don't know why you're all Ferengi. But Lar, Mass Effect 5 was actually announced before the Legendary Editions. And you're correct, it was announced. Which, as a reminder, game announcements are not for us. They have nothing to do with us, or even the game actually coming out. Plenty of games have been announced and then never actually gone to release. So, they announced Mass Effect 5, and everything I've been able to read and understand of that has said that development on Mass Effect 5 didn't start until late last year. Yeah, Elder Scrolls 6 is a perfect example of this. So, yeah, no, they announced Mass Effect 5, but they didn't actually start working on it until after Veilguard had come out. Anyways, point being that, yeah, it's to say, it was pretty much right after Veilguard came out, but I'm getting off topic. Point being that, no, it was specifically the Legendary Editions that showed that there was enough interest in Mass Effect to actually have Mass Effect 5 be greenlit. Now, was Veilguard a failure? No. Once again, Veilguard actually sold quite a bit. Any game, even a AAA game, getting into 7 digits as far as sales figures, that's doing pretty well. I know that this is something that's a personal pet peeve of mine and a hill of mine. But every developer who looks at GTA or God of War and says, yeah, I want those sales figures, excuse me, not every developers, I'm misspeaking. Every executive who looks at those games and wants those sales figures is an idiot who has no idea what they're talking about. If you hit the 1 million mark, congrats. You are actually doing well, even for a AAA title. Now, the problem there, and I don't have information on this because I haven't studied Veilguard, because A, it hasn't been out for that long, and B, I haven't played it yet. I kind of don't want to spoil myself for it. However, I guarantee you with 99% certainty right now that Veilguard is in the exact same boat that Andromeda was. Remember, from what we know, Veilguard was restarted development a bare minimum of 3 times. So 4 separate builds throughout the course of its development cycle across a huge quantity of years. And just, again, that's expensive, driving the costs up, making them demand more profit, which they probably didn't actually make back because of the fact that they only sold really well. So, yeah, that's great. It's okay. I'm sure Mass Effect 5 will be the first BioWare game ever to actually have a smooth development cycle. Oh yeah, Veilguard is also completely abandoned now, which is just like Andromeda was.
We'll try this way to look for our people.
I'm sorry we can't help you, but we have our own mission.
Good luck, Pathfinder.
You too, Pathfinder. Okay, Sam. The relic. Still got a lead on it?
Marking the route to the Archon's chamber. You may proceed.
Final Fantasy VI.
Only 3 of us and a ship full of cat.
Yes, I realize I just named a game that came out in 1994, but I stand by it. That is true, though. Most games don't actually have a smooth development cycle. Actually, you want to know a game that had a smooth development cycle? And I mean this. Starfield.
Armory of some kind.
Let's not be here when they put it to use.
So you want the bad ending, Zactaft? Okay, that's your call, man.
Good. They haven't noticed us yet. Here we go! Keep your head down and push forward!
Where are we trying to go?
The exit is on the far side of the room.
With a lot of kit in the way!
Dropship inbound. This will get worse before it gets better.
Dropship? They've got everything!
They're reinforcing!
Stirred up the hornet's nest now!
Okay, I was about to complain about them dropping troops on their own ship with a dropship, and I just realized why that's a thing. It's because of the fact that they already have the dropship code for, like the scripts, right? So the dropship shows up, hovers, spawn enemies, enemies pop out, new enemies, right? So all that already exists because they have that over on EOS. So it makes perfect sense that they would do that here, because that way they can save time in development.
Wish we had our own dropship right about now.
Don't we have it?
Guys, we're supposed to be the cavalry!
Clear! That was the last one!
Ryder, this is Pathfinder Reka. I assume those alarms are because of you?
Yeah, had a little altercation. And you?
Undetected so far. Still looking for our people. Reka out.
Yeah, I'm not impressed with the brickwork of the Ket tile set. It's fine, I guess.
Got a worker here.
That's the Solarian stasis pod he was looking at. Look at...
It's actually really simple, Act.
Those look like guns out there.
Confirmed. The offensive armaments of a highly capable warship.
all pointed at the Solarian Ark.
It's going to be a problem.
Your route continues on the far side of the room.
All you need, Ect, is a decent manager who has the ability to say no. Like, I hate to keep banging on that point over and over and over, but proper management means being able to say, we need more time to work on this, and we need to wrap up development, right? Like, I can't remember the exact phrase. Someone in chat probably knows what it's called. But there's actually a professional term for this, which is, at some point, you got to ship, right? At some point or another, you need to stop working on it, because history has proven for centuries that if you allow developers, creative types, writers, artists, whatever, to just keep developing, they will do so essentially forever, right? They will just constantly be like, yep. And we've seen a few examples of it in the gaming space. Not a lot, weirdly enough, but yeah, there have been a few examples where they will just keep going and going and going. And if no one ever puts their foot down and says, all right, look, we need to wrap this up. At some point in time, you need to ship, right? Yeah, perfect is the enemy of good, as the saying goes. Yeah, Duke Nukem Forever, if you've ever looked into the development of that, is a great example of what I'm talking about, because that, I know that sounds strange given the game we eventually got, but the actual game that was being developed on, and the second one, and the third one, and the fourth one, and the fifth one, were all just the developers going wild with no limits for years on end.
Shit, the door just locked.
No way, that's an accident.
Look sharp.
I see him! It's an ambush!
Those tricky bastards! Get ready!
Yeah, I don't know how well Silksong's gonna do. I hope it does well, obviously.
Only way out is a fight!
I mean, how many people actually want Silksong to bomb? I'm sure someone does.
This is looking ugly! We're in trouble here!
Can't hold out much longer.
Well, I don't know. She doesn't have as much personality as a clone trooper, Zekta.
We've got your back!
But
It's the Solarians up
still
top!
like her.
We still have a chance!
Reka! We'll take whatever help you can give!
We'll provide overwatch!
what? Did you see that ragdolling? Holy crap!
Captain Hager, we need suppressing fire near 11 o'clock! Ryder, we need to pull out! We have wounded!
Go!
Get out of here.
We can take it from here! You saved our ass! It's a big room! Don't let them get the drop on you! Fracas team hadn't come by.
I suppose we owe him one.
Yeah. Now how do we get out of here?
I have located a new path to the Archon's chamber.
Exactly, Zactaft.
Whole ship is probably looking for us.
I mean, the Collectors had a more visceral horror to them. Along with the the husks.
Reka, what's happening?
Selden's wounds were fatal.
I'm sorry. He was brave.
I can't access this terminal. It's not working.
Ryder, can Sam open this door for us?
Sure.
A moment while I override security.
Reka, we've got a big problem. Did you see those guns back there?
I know. They'll destroy the Ark before we can power up the engines.
Yes.
Unless...
Speaking as someone who actually is in favor of greebling, I agree that sometimes people over-greeble, but more to the point, greeble pointlessly. Like, it's just, oh, here. There's actually a very extensive amount of design and art that goes into making something that looks plain look good. Greebling is kind of the lazy way out of that. It only works sometimes, in my opinion. Yeah, good greebling is a Borg cube. That's a great example of good greebling. It looks like a giant chunk of trash smashed together, and that's the point. It helps with the aesthetic. It helps to make it alien and look so distinct from everything else we've ever seen in Star Trek. Hell yes, absolutely. But then sometimes you'll see a ship where there's just stuff, and it turns into noise, right?
If you've got an idea, let's hear it.
Venro here used to repair FDL drives on private cruisers. Venro, an EMP device?
It might work. If we rig one to detonate near those guns, they'd lose power.
And the Ark would be out of harm's way.
What about your missing people?
I'll keep looking. Captain Hadrian and Venro will focus on the EMP.
Everyone be careful. Good luck.
The door is now open.
We'll stay in touch over the radio.
In the meantime, we've got a relic to find. Sam?
Marking the route to the Archon's chambers.
Why are we still keeping our voices low?
We're sneaking onto an enemy ship.
Who already know we're here.
Well, old habits die.
Hey, Croatia! Did you happen to see Croatia 2.0 yesterday? Because it was awesome. It's on the clips. It'll be on the shorts at some point on YouTube.
Hate to break
Hey, Yadakadahi. Thank you for the sub. And thank you for 3 years of support. Much obliged. If you want to put that anniversary sub towards up to 3 things, please let me know. Of course, Kira White Noise. Listen, Ascension... God, I don't know. Oh, I'm going to wait till everything's out, Act. That's partially my fault. It takes more time than I'd like to admit to turn clips into YouTube shorts. And some days I just don't take the time, you know. Sometimes I'm just like, I'm tired. I got other stuff to do. I need to do that. I need to get the website up to date because I've got a lot of donations from the Patreon. And I need to update the LGA thing. And I haven't done any of those 3 things because I haven't had time. I spent 2 hours playing this game last night instead of getting any work done.
Not enough. The whole species is at risk.
They know what the genophage felt like.
You know, I've been thinking about the aesthetic of the Ket, and you know what it reminds me of the most? A poor man's Imperial Guard from over Warhammer 40k. Like, it's just kind of got that dull, slightly green steel look, and everything's just a little bit rounded and looks like it was just smashed together in a factory. But unlike the Imperial Guard, which are awesome and have very slowly been becoming my favorite faction in Warhammer 40k, they're not nailing it, you know? They're not making me go, oh yeah, that looks awesome. Instead it's like, oh, okay. So Jet Force, Gemini, DBZ Kakarot, and Dragon Quest VIII. You got it. Well, yeah, the Imperial Guard are the plucky underdogs with the tech, though. That's another thing. They're big on vehicles. I love tanks, right? So I'm into that, right? So plucky underdogs, you know, they've got that vibe of screw you, we're never going to actually go down because there's just too much of us. And they've got the vehicles. And all three of those just are like, you know, I'm still not sure if I like them better than the Orcs. Because the Orcs, he's got a couple of things going for him, you know. It's the vibe of the Orcs is special. But yeah, the Leman Russ is just an awesome tank. I'm sorry. So that's the two for me. Those two are just... That's a good point, Takoida. That's a good point. Salvage tanks.
Damn.
Right, get. Let's go see if we can kill ourselves some more kit. Some more kit. It's hard to say with that accent. Kit.
Nope.
The Kett are hardening their security. Try scanning the access panel. The door is voice activated. I can attempt to modulate your vocal cords to approximate Kett intonation.
Okay.
The system is asking for your authorization. How do you wish to respond?
Intruders have been spotted on the ship. We need to secure this area.
Access granted.
That was creepy.
Oh man, that would be awesome, Leonard. You see, the Orcs, they're made for winning.
Well, we're off the beaten path now.
Looks like a lab. Hate to think what they do around here.
We literally know what they do! Why are you treating this like a reveal?
Yes, they know I was coming.
These scientists.
So what are they up to?
Nothing good from the looks of this place.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't trying to start a comparison match. It's just, it's the thing I kept being consistently reminded of as we went through Kett areas.
We've got company.
They're down.
Be easier if the Kett just handed the relic over.
We could all save on
Well,
it.
that just happened. Sorry.
I think we just found all the missing stasis pods.
Maybe the Solarians are still alive.
Do you not... Well, the Solarians were alive until we shot them a minute ago.
They're dead.
What?
Who could do this kind of thing?
I'm sorry, I'm trying really hard. But every single time, I feel like I've successfully raised the sandbags in my mind to endure this terrible dialogue, the flood somehow finds a crack and smashes over it.
Hey, I see you in there, and I'm gonna find you and kill you myself.
Of course, we can't save that person, because, you know.
Bastard! You can't hide! I've seen enough. We need to find that relic and stop these...
I do love Imperial Guard tanks, though, unironically.
Someone's going to pay for this.
Let them have it!
You bastards! We're not lab animals.
Well, I mean...
Hope they got the message.
Sam, how's it look?
Ryder, caution.
Thanks for the warning, Sam.
Some kind of immobilizing field.
It's useless to struggle.
Oh, Jesus. Not you.
I've been in this forsaken cluster for decades, surrounded by amoeba. Then you arrive, a human able to do the unthinkable. You even evaded me. Such an unlikely rival. It was almost invigorating to have one. And yet, it's a fitting end.
Is that what sad looks like? I'd give you a hug, but...
Hey, back off, asshole.
I like how we still have that stupid grin at all times.
Your testing begins now. I will learn your secrets soon enough. Report. Await my arrival. Save your strength, human.
Reika must have run into trouble.
We have her beat. Sam, what can you tell me?
I'm sensing a biological transmitter in your bloodstream now, attempting to neutralize it.
Okay, that's priority 2 for sure. Any idea how to break out of this?
The containment fields only interact with living matter. If you expire, the field around you will extinguish until manually reset. As you know, my access to your physiology allows me to enhance your vital signals when required. I can also do the opposite.
I just... Okay. Before I just... Okay, moving on. I think, you know, I'd like to say that the Archon is the worst BioWare villain I've ever seen. But first of all, I've played Inquisition. And second of all, I've played Anthem. And I'm sorry. The Monitor is the worst BioWare villain. He is so generic and so bad and so pointless. I am not sure. I would have to really think to come up with worse villains across all of fiction than the Monitor. No, not the one from DC. The one from Anthem.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Kind of don't want to die today, Sam!
After stopping your heart, I would attempt to resuscitate, of course.
Are there any other options?
None that I can determine.
Alright, let's do it.
Yeah, Inquisition's villain.
Not again.
The Jailer's worse.
You better come back.
Stopping your heart. Now.
By the way, this feels horrific by all accounts. Your heart stopping is an extraordinarily unpleasant experience.
Sam?
It doesn't look like that, for example.
Stimulating the cardiovascular core. 0 activity.
Yeah, by the way, Sam can just stop our heart.
Stimulating the cardiovascular core.
It's twice now I've come back from the dead. I can't say the experience is improving.
I believe it is preferable to the alternative.
You two look comfortable.
So did you, while you were playing dead.
Yeah, is this the tone for this moment? Also, should I even mention that coming back from a cardiac arrest is something that can cause you severe damage? Just going into and coming out of it. But no, we're fine. Let's go. And we're still smiling. And we're back to combat. What is this game? I am Archon, and I have captured you. Okay, boy. Okay, stop my heart. I'm dead. But I'm alive. Well, that just happened. Oh my god. Why? Why? Why, God? Why hast thou forsaken me? Oh my god, it's Mirror Imagine if Shepard just got up from the med bay in Mass Effect 2 and was like, oh, well, that just happened. I disagree completely, Matchster. This is not a negative. This is more than one negative. Ah. One second. Sorry. My heart is tired. I stole that joke from Claw. Yeah, there's still no music. What is going on? Okay, of all the things I understand, and I have given a lot of sympathy to the developers of this game because of how much they were just, their kneecaps were being beaten the entire time they were going through this. Why the music? Playing music is such an old concept that it was a solved problem in the early 80s. There's not a lot to putting music in a game. Like, granted, there's a lot to putting good music in a game. Good music direction is actually a whole art and style. But, like, putting music at all? At least having, like, something? Was this deliberate? I just... Okay. So, give me a second. Let me jot down my notes on negatives here. Wait, is that true, Nexus of Concordia? Because that would explain a lot. Weirdly enough. I mean, we might move no music into bugged, because that's just ridiculous. But anyways, one second here. Okay, so,
Okay, must be a way to access it. I'll look for it.
There's no intel here. We should check this area out while we can.
Step away from there!
What's that?
That did something. Let's look around.
Archon, do you hear me? Now you have 2 Pathfinders to deal with, and we're not impressed with your security.
Here we go. This way. Reka. This'll be fun.
You hear that?
Yeah.
it works weirdly well.
Part of me was hoping it was kind of...
I'm trying not to laugh.
Guess I was naive.
What was that? I don't think we're alone.
This is Reka. Some of our people are still...
Really starting to hate those things.
Why wasn't he?
Yeah, but only if I wanted to be Hoppy wronged into Oblivion Venters. Oh my god, there's actual music playing. I love how she always smiles. Sometimes the actress does some really good job of being like, you know, oh my gosh, you poor thing.
Not anymore, it isn't. Must be one of my missing scouts. I can't tell which one.
The DNA is Krogan, but drastically altered. It's clear the Ket are closing in on successfully exalting the species.
I'm beginning to hate these guys.
Get in line.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, she's got this half grin constantly. Hi. And it completely destroys... Like, sometimes she's like, I'm so sorry. It really makes me sad that your brother just died right in front of you.
Captain Hager, this is Ryder. We've reached the Archon Sanctum.
Give the word and we'll set off the EMP.
I really hate these guys. I can't
Got
wait
it.
to murder them.
All right, guys, we're looking for a remnant relic. Map of Meridian.
Why does he care?
The Archon has done extensive testing. Remnant origin confirmed, though it's not the relic we're searching for.
So, I think we'll officially shuffle that down into bug. Still giving it the negatives, though. Yeah, the landlording 20s. I like that. The we need to kill all the landlords 20s. How's that sound?
He needs to be stopped. What we've seen on this ship. It would be genocide for the whole cluster.
This object serves no useful purpose. It is the remnant equivalent of junk.
The Archon is whistling in the dark on this stuff.
Pathfinder, this is the relic the Moshai described. It does seem to be a map.
Oh, bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Oh, sorry.
So that's...
I'm sorry, every time we do this, it looks like we're using the Force. That's why I keep making fun. Yeah, also, can we not activate the map on the enemy ship while they probably have cameras pointed at it?
It's Meridian.
Coordinates secured.
That's right, I stole Star Wars. Seriously, he was... God, you're so stupid.
Changing the weather is a fraction of its power, and I will not allow you to defile it.
I'm better equipped to handle it than you.
Why? Because you have artificial intelligence in your head explaining it. I've seen what transpired in the laboratory, and now I know what makes you... special. Meridian is mine. I've tolerated you long enough. Once your vessels are destroyed, you'll be stranded here.
Captain, fire the EMP!
Done.
Oh, worst presentation? Oh, that's difficult, Uthor.
That can't be good.
I think Archon. honestly. The Kroget. The Ketgen. I don't know.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, the jailer eventually looks cool, and the actor tries to do the best he can with him. And even his animation is legitimately better than, you know, this nonsense.
Forget it, it's not working! This guy's gonna be trouble! Stay out of the way! Give him everything you've got!
These are my people I'm messing with! That was the last one.
Finally. Alright, we've got the map. Let's get the hell out of here.
And before those guns come back online.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm saying this. I think the jailer actually has better presentation than the Archon.
Pathfinder, a moment. I'm picking up Krogan life signs on board the ship. Several captives are being held not far from your location.
Now? You choose now to tell me this.
They are scheduled for exaltation.
Damn, go be the rest of my missing scouts.
Sam, do we have time to get there before the Ket restore power?
If you act quickly.
Ryder, it's Reka. I'm pinned down. Don't think I'm gonna make it.
Where are you?
Near holding cells where they're keeping several of my people. They're still alive.
Oh, not this
I
crap.
ordered Captain Hager back to the Ark.
You should be with him.
I couldn't leave my people. I had to try. And now, I think it's over. From one Pathfinder to another, farewell. Reka out.
Damn it.
There isn't time to save both. Once the Ket restore power, you'll be trapped.
Ryder, my scouts.
Really? But yeah, let's actually dissect this for a second, okay? Let's talk about presentation, because it's more interesting than this stupid, dumb choice. So, hang on. Let me start up appropriate music. I actually have a playlist called Sorrow, because I am edgy, and just saying sad was too easy. I don't know. Here we go. A moment for the dead. All right, so presentation ultimately boils down to several things. The voice, the sound attached to the voice, so modulation, that kind of thing, or special effects, that kind of thing. Animation, visuals, you know, their actual appearance, their sprite work, for lack of a better way to put that. And I think that's it. So, yeah, sprite work, animations, voice, and voice modulation, okay? So let's look at the Archon. Let's go ahead and just make this clear. I am Archon. Yes, I am very generically moving. It barely looks like I'm walking at all. I am so powerful. You have no idea how strong I am. There's no animation to him. Nothing about him works on the nature of how he's moved. Literally, his body moves. Then there's his visual appearance. It is next. I've been paying attention. I pay attention to this kind of thing. His walk cycles are so just kind of generic, right? But then we've got his actual appearance, his sprite work, which has nothing going for it. He barely looks like he looks kind of like a fungus person, which I guess makes sense given that these are the Bioborg. But like, the only thing that makes him distinguished from the others is his stupid halo thing. And that's it, right? And yeah, I was actually about to pull this up to really make this clear. We could compare him to the Jailer, who, you know, is the worst villain I've ever known. Well, we could compare him to better than this. Hang on, is this the picture? Nope, hang on. Although, I always like having this picture shown in any episode whatsoever. So, I'm just going to leave that up on there for screen for a second. Okay, there. I feel satisfied. So, this is Saren. Now, Saren immediately looks distinct. He doesn't even look like a typical Turian. He's got that kind of weird teeth-looking cybernetics going along his jaw, and he's got the, you know, the cables and the cybernetic stuff on the left side of his hand. His left hand, which isn't actually visible here, also looks like a claw. He's got this great thing going on that kind of emulates hair. Yeah, he looks powerful. He actually looks cool. That's sprite work, by the way. Just sprite work. You can see him right there and actually see the kind of person he is. And then there's the way Saren walks. Saren as animated in Mass Effect 1, better than the Archon is here. Think about any scene where he's in. He tends to chew the scenery a little bit, but like even the first scene we ever see him in, where he's just kind of casually walking around, like there's this sort of lazy movement to him as he's completely on top of things. And then he turns to Nihilus, and Nihilus is looking away, and then he pulls his gun on Nihilus like that, right? Like that the animation of that. Yeah, exactly, Nexus Cody. You can feel how in control he is. You can feel the kind of villain he is right there, right in that shot. So that's animation and sprite work way better in Mass Effect 1. When did Mass Effect 1 come out again? And I shouldn't even have to explain the voice, right? Like, so for those of you not aware, Saren is voiced by Fred Tatasciore, who is a great actor, who does great stuff. He's actually mostly known for being deep, growly kind of people. But Tatasciore is actually a very, very talented actor when he's actually allowed to stretch his chops. And he does a great job with Saren. You can feel the menace in how he talks and the confidence as he talks about things. But he also has layers of when he's not winning, or when he's falling behind on something, or when something isn't going his way, or when he feels desperate, or when you convince him that he's just a pawn of Sovereign. So, oh, also, his voice modulation is fantastic. It's very subtle, actually. It's just a small tremolo added in the back of it. Very similar to what most Turians have in general. So, voice modulation, voice acting, sprite work, animation. Great presentation. From a game that came out in 2007. The Archon, who I remind you, we've seen quite a bit now. He's not exactly a new character. We've seen him several times here. And he's just... Yeah, Sovereign himself actually has... He doesn't have much on the animation side of things. But the sprite work of the giant Reaper ship looks properly intimidating in the scene. And Sovereign's voice is fantastic. So, yeah, no. I'm going to get copy wrong for this music. There we go. Sorry, I'm actually curious of something. I'm looking up Tatasciore here. God, he was in a lot more stuff than I thought before he hit Mass Effect. Usually background stuff. Yeah, and then in 2007, he just kind of took off all of a sudden. Started voicing main characters and main villains, like Saren. Or Kill Jaden, over in World of Warcraft. He's also the voice of the Brutes in Halo 3. He does a lot of voice work. I'm not going to go down the list. He does a crap ton of stuff. He's all over the place. Good voice actor. Anyways, what I'm trying to get across is that the Archon fails so hard. And even without just doing a side-by-side, the thing that really makes the Archon suck, and let me talk about this briefly. One of the weird things, yes, off the brand. One of the weird things about being an analyst/reviewer is that I, every now and again, pick up on things that other people either don't notice or aren't bothered by, both in good and bad, right? Negatives and positives. And I've just kind of come to grips with that. And that's fine. I'm not trying to say I'm smart or better than other people. What I'm trying to say is that when you sit down and really think about a work, it changes how you perceive a work, right? That's all I'm trying to say. Most people don't do that because they're just here to have fun, right? There's no judgment, there's no nothing. But I bring that up because sometimes I notice details that other people don't until I point them out. Which then brings me to the other example. When even if you're not paying attention, you notice something's wrong. You can't quite tell why, but you can tell something's off. Even when you're just chilling, not really thinking about it, just playing a game, you're like, what's with this guy? And that's the Archon. Anybody with a functional brain at all playing this game has all had pretty much the exact same comment about the Archon, which is just, who's this loser? Moving on. Enough with the sad music. So let's save the scouts.
Reload. We've got to save those Krogan from exaltation.
Damn right we do.
Yeah, exactly, as Miristar. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Yura. Although, do you really want me to remove this? You know what? Let's do an experiment. Let's see how this feels. We'll leave this up for a minute.
A lot of Ket in the way.
Let's see if this is better.
And don't stop for anything. Let's go. Here we go. Head up ahead.
About to be dead, Ket.
Wow, these are actually straight up red rooms.
Long way between here and there.
Or you're welcome to hang back and die.
Saren is even more powerful. He can make explosions with his mind.
Tempest, this is Ryder. Do you copy?
I hear you, Pathfinder.
We have the map, but we're trying to rescue some prisoners.
Those Ket guns won't stay offline forever.
I know. Just tell us if anything changes.
You'll be the first to know. Callow out.
Hang on, time to beat Yura. Not literally, that'd be horrible. But at Parcheesi Squares, let's do this.
Think you can take my people prisoners out of them? Open the door. There. Kill them all.
Okay. There you go.
Get them out of there.
Now you've missed one of the best parts of the game, the combat.
Can you run?
Pathfinder, the Ket are close to restoring the ship's power.
Tempest, we're going top.
Saren effect.
Track for extraction.
Understood.
Reka, are you still there? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry the game made me make a dumb choice. Again. The smile. Hi, Arzel. Are you having a good day? I'm not, because I just watched someone die. I'm very sad about this, as you can see. We have guns on this thing, right? What would that do to the atmosphere?
The team is on its way. They'll escort the Ark to the Nexus. I'm sure they'll be happy to see you, Captain Hager.
It's a day I wasn't certain would ever come.
Now that it has, what will you do?
Technically, I'm next in line to be our Pathfinder, though I never started the training. Reka will be difficult to replace.
I won't lie, when my father died, stepping up was overwhelming. There's a lot to learn.
Though it seems your crew helped?
Absolutely. Just get yourself a half-ton Krogan and all your problems are solved.
What matters most is that the Solarian people are no longer at the mercy of the Ket. For this, we are eternally grateful.
Just make sure my scouts make it safely to Nexus.
Of course. Be well, Ryder.
Well, I was going to kick them out the airlock, but...
Leaving Reka behind. But I'm glad you did. My scouts are alive because of it.
Yeah, but the Solarians we left behind.
Focus on what went right. You kicked the Archon's tail today. You took the Ark right out from under him and got Meridian's location. So, enjoy this one.
He's actually right. That was a win.
That doesn't really matter. I'm just glad the team is safe. Though slapping the Archon in the face like this will only make him more dangerous.
Or
I'm
perhaps,
so happy
Reckless,
about this.
your father liked putting others off balance. He said the worthy would rise above it and learn to face adversity ably.
And
That's
the
true.
unworthy?
Would crumble. I'll leave you to your thoughts.
With reverence, Archon, this fascination with Meridian cannot continue.
It's the key to our future, Primus. The human knows nothing of its true power.
Even we don't fully understand it. Our orders are to exalt this cluster, not study the remnant. Questions are being asked about your judgment. Questions that come from the highest levels.
The answers will be clear soon enough. With Meridian, we can transform every world in this cluster to a wasteland. Either the subjects submit to exaltation, or we will use it to annihilate them. This Pathfinder has opened the door. Now we must be the first to cross the threshold. We must seize Meridian before it does. Like all lesser creatures, it mistakes a battle for the war. It doesn't know its weakness. Or its potential.
The Archon saw my memory flashes? He got that from my implant?
His device went deep. Our connections were wide open when Sam killed you.
We hit him once. We focus on doing it again. We have to rally the Nexus and move on Meridian.
VidCon channels are ready, Pathfinder.
And yeah, so that's our first hint that the Ket are actually a greater power than just this dude. And that they're actually here on orders, which makes me wonder, how much of a timetable are they on? Because they've been here for 80 freaking years. And haven't actually, succeeded yet. So, like... I didn't mean to talk to Drag.
Colony just calmed in. Scouts are expected to arrive soon, and medics are on standby. I won't forget this, Ryder. You chose Krogan first.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since anyone's seen us as anything other than cannon fodder.
I couldn't let you down. My crew is like family.
Only family I've had for a long time is Kesh. Guess anything can change.
We can talk more later.
Sure.
That would be funny as Maristar. We are now ready to conquer the Milky Way. Oh God, they're killing us! They're killing us! Thud. And that's the end of that. Alright, hang on. Journey to Meridian. Yeah, yeah, they arrive in a full synthesis galaxy, and it's like, oh, what's this? Oh! Oh. Oh. We are one with the convalescence.
Tell me about the satellite you found.
Director, what are you talking about?
My alert identified a CK resource tracker. They're emergency tech, full of overrides so they can bypass protocol. They were designed by Dr. Zoe Jean Kennedy. She disappeared with the Exiles. If her tech has shown up, that could give someone a backdoor to steal from your outposts.
Pretty extreme to set up a personal alert. Why do that?
A lot of Dr. Kennedy's projects were unofficial.
But you backed them, like these trackers?
I don't want some asshole using my access codes to cut a backdoor into our resources, or Tan blaming me for it. But I also want to know what happened to her.
What was Dr. Kennedy's role in the initiative?
She designed the orbital beacons, forward stations, and half the kit in the Tempest. She'd ram an upgrade through before the requisition was on Tan's desk. Dr. Kennedy disappeared along with the Exiles. That was a big loss.
Why were these trackers allowed to bypass protocols?
They're supposed to be hubs, to rapidly track and pull resources if lives are at stake somewhere. That's why they weren't deployed. Tan didn't like anyone bypassing his rubber stamp.
If this satellite is new, how has it kept up with our security measures?
That's a very good question.
If we have to find the tech or the person, where do we begin?
You got a sliver of data from the first tracker. With more scans, maybe Suvi can assemble a point of origin. Obviously, these trackers are being deployed where initiative tech is concentrated. That means outposts. Try another outpost system, or place more. Maybe you'll draw them out, whoever they are.
And when we find them?
They're stealing our resources. My concern is Dr. Kennedy, her tech, their lives. In that order.
Kill them all. Got it. On hold. Place an outpost on hold. Okay. Ugh, excuse me. I'm sorry. I see that giant list. Is it just me? I see that giant list of quests, and my heart just sinks. That's not just because I'm streaming, by the way. I've heard that accusation a few times. No, it's literally like, oh, I have 700 things left to do. Okay.
I hope the Solarians find their place on the next.
It's my job, Kraken-san. I can't ignore all this stuff. Okay. Liam, of all people, says, take the time if you need it. You don't die and just shake it off. Yeah, that too, Nexus of Concordia. It's really... The quest log in this game, which I've already dinged, is not great. And the lack of proper minimap and the issues with the compass do not help. I'm going to say yes, Yura. What about you? Obviously, you disagree with me. Because that's the rule. So, we need to take up stress-relieving hobbies. We can garden, read, knit or crochet, color or paint, or journaling. Okay. Do you have any video games? What's a video game? Of course they don't have video games in the future. You ever notice that? That is a weirdly common trend. Yes, I know Mass Effect 2 references video games, but it's weirdly common that sci-fi stories don't have video games. That has always bothered me since I was a kid. Just, whatever. Moving on.
A lot of your people were lost.
We came to Andromeda because we had a contribution to make. The Ket won't take that away.
I need a break. Do you need a break? Let's go for a break.
Okay. Okay. Ah!
Tea, Sarah?
I'd love a cup.
What is that posture? Okay.
Cultivar originating in Sumatra. My own personal stash. Once I run out, that'll be it for Earth Tea. I keep having these thoughts. I'm never gonna taste this again. I'm never gonna see that again.
You're not the only one, Suvi. I have those senseless thoughts all the damn time.
And? Do they bother you?
It's natural. You'd have to be made of stone not to miss home sometimes.
The universe is like a giant tapestry. I love following its threads, but it distracts me from the whole picture. My family was right there, but I was too occupied by the abstract to appreciate them.
What's a Saidathon? I've never heard of that.
From everything you've told me, you're here because of your family. Your love of science, doesn't that come from them? Aren't you with them every time you chase down a new discovery?
Ryder, that's beautiful.
My father was an explorer, and my mother a researcher. Everything I do here reminds me of them. I haven't lost them either. And Suvi, the threads you followed led you here to me. How could that have been a mistake?
Of everything I've encountered in Helios, you are by far...
Oh, we're committing. We're committing.
Sarah, don't do this to me. Not unless you really mean it.
We're in.
I know. And I'm serious. Serious about us.
Sorry, no more flirting, everyone. I am super serial, y'all.
Pathfinder, I've retrieved actionable intel.
Anyways, that was the end of that cutscene.
What did you find?
Updating your system with the nav point.
Oh my god. Yeah, imagine if you turn her down after kissing her. Like we flirt, we have a cute moment, and we're like, oh, tender moment. Actually, you know what? You're right. I'm gonna go snog on Liam. Is that cool? Cool. Peace. That would be horrible. That would actually... He's got a couch. Okay? He's the only one in the Andromeda Galaxy with a couch, okay? And I'm just saying. God. Okay. So that's Eos. That's Eos. That's gonna be the other worlds. That's research and development. I'll go ahead and do that. That's Havarl. I don't even know where that is. That's Vold. Oh god, that's awful, Plutonia. I'm sorry. I can't do this anymore. You're smothering me. We just kissed for the first time. I can't deal with it anymore. I need to be a free... God, I can't remember. What's the usual excuse that jackasses use to cheat on people? Like, I need to be free, or I need to have... Like, this bird's got to be off the wings or something. God, I don't remember. Yeah, those beer stains, those are real, okay? I want to smell piss when I'm making out with someone, all right? Oh, God. That's just so horrible. You know what? I don't care. I don't care about any of this. Yeah, we have the Mattock. We're done. Oh, pretty low level, I'd say, Zactap, all things considered. I don't know, 5% Euro? 1? 0.8? I don't feel like we're anywhere. Like, MSQ-wise, we could technically go beat the game in, I want to say 3 quests right now. That's not a joke, by the way. We go have the meeting about Meridia. We go crash into Meridia, spoilers, and then we go fight the last boss. That's the finale. As I mentioned before, the MSQ is really, really short in this game. But we haven't even been to 2 planets yet. By the way, the MSQ never takes you to those 2 planets. Just saying.
Liam, I signed off on that project.
Ooh, baby. Ooh.
Alderov, we got our gear.
Costa?
Oh my god, that's actually gross. I'm no longer turned on at all.
We don't technically have uniforms, but this is a little casual.
Just convenience, swapping armor. You ready to go?
Go.
Right. The pattern on your pauldron?
Family honorific.
Can I wear the poncho?
It's a Rofshin. And no.
Why? Is it religious?
Wait, what?
It's personal. You're not allowed.
Because of status or species?
Maybe it's both.
Do all humans look alike?
Some of you sound alike.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. I thought this was about armor. Are you deliberately trying to offend Jal?
Of course he is.
That's the point. Asking stuff diplomats leave out. Armor for answers.
Hey, my turn was earlier. Nexus info packets leave a lot out. I am sorry. Was this not sanctioned?
You weaseling Adi.
Nevertheless. Ryder?
Yeah, by the way, he's completely naked.
I hope you know what you're doing. I don't need the Nexus breathing down my neck.
Relax. Jar won't complain to HR or whatever Tan thinks we report to. We were joking around and realized we didn't know how to insult each other. Or how not to. Some things are so ingrained they're invisible. We didn't even know the warning signs, so we got it over with. Now we won't do it accidentally. Like when we're trying to negotiate an outpost. Enough of his people want to shoot us now.
Okay, I kind of get the intent. No harm, no foul.
If Jar was offended, I'd be on the floor. I'll take that kind of honest any day. We have a lot to learn. That's part of what our team is for. Better now than when people's lives are on the line.
Interesting. Put a shirt on. That is an order. Hello, Melkor Blade. Oh my god. Oh my god. They're everywhere. Oh god, kill me. Kill me! Okay. I can do this. I can do this. I just have to kill myself. That's all I have to do. Take a gun. And end it all. And I won't have to do all these quests. Okay. Yeah, Zactef. Like, I don't disagree with any of that. But, like, Mass Effect has Krogans and magic. Damn it. I'm in hell. I actually am legitimately uncomfortable around people not having their shirts on, Spartan. That's a real thing. And if you want to have your shirt off, that's fine. I'll just leave. No judgment. Let's see. So that's Kadara. That's Eos. That's Kadara. That's Kadara. That's Havarl. Jesus. No, but they could take it from him, Zactaft. I made a quick biotics and grab. That's the end of that. Okay. No, I actually do get the idea of what they were doing. It's just, as usual, it was presented not great. Okay. I'm just going to do this. I'm just going to go down the list. I've been reading through this trying to come up with any kind of efficiency to reduce the backtracking because this game's backtracking is awful. I give up. We're just going to go down the list. Let's go. Wait. Yep, flashing lights warning in just a minute. We're following the adventure line. I think you're right, Kira White Noise. I do wish I was dead, Federation Builder. That's unrelated, but it is still true. I should have died 29 years ago.
Beginning approach.
Find out, Melkor Blade.
Bolt orbit is steady.
I love how escape is not how you back out, it's how you confirm in that menu. I've already mentioned the inconsistent tunneling and drilling, but just, wow. Okay. Let's see. This is a cold area, and we know the music isn't going to play, so... Oh, we're done. By the way, I'm not sure if this is negative worthy, but there's something you can do. You can kill the Ket command center on any of the habitable planets, of which I believe there's three or four. And they're like, yes, we've defeated the Ket command center. There will no longer be any Ket controls. Now, what do you think the tangible effect is of killing the Ket command center? Nothing. It does absolutely nothing.
A severe temperature drop.
I even double-checked this last night. The overhead dropships still spawn. They still spawn at their outposts, and they still spawn in the nodes where they're, you know, where they're designed to spawn. So it does literally nothing. Did I say hi, Federation Builder? Hi, Federation Builder.
I love you.
I'm reading a normal temperature range, Pathfinder. Life support restored.
Oh yeah, also activating Meridian doesn't change the habitability of planets. I mean, getting hit in the back of the head
Who saved the Moshai.
would probably hurt.
I'm Anyek Dozil.
Yes, Spec Warrior 2, Kira.
You're welcome here as an ally of the Angara.
Thank you for allowing us into your base, Commander.
Your actions display your soul's intentions. I hope you will join the fight against the Ket. We've
My
held the
soul's
Ket
intentions?
but have been unable to deal a decisive blow. The longer things drag on, the greater our disadvantage.
That's why I came here. To help.
If you want to know where you can make a difference, go to the post that overlooks the valley. Nothing happens on Vold without our lookouts knowing about it. Before you go, is there anything else I can help you with?
I've met Ephra. He's interesting.
He's never been good at first impressions. He can be stern, but he's exactly what the Resistance needs. Ephra took a scattered band of civilian fighters and molded them into an effective army. What success we've had against the Ket is entirely due to his leadership.
Most people seem to really respect him.
Because he would do anything for his people, he inspires the same in us. We may not always agree with Ephra, but we'd follow him to the end of the stars.
How long has the Resistance been around?
Nearly as long as the Ket. With our military destroyed, civilians took the fight into their own hands. They formed the Resistance as a final effort to retake our home.
It seems to be working.
Only since Ephra took over. His tactics gave us the push we needed against the Ket. But even now, we're a long way from winning.
That's it for now.
I'll be here if you have any questions.
This is the cold playlist era. No points if you can guess why it's called that.
That's the planet with everything on it.
Yep. Looks like supplies aren't getting through to the Resistance.
Maybe we should talk to the requisitions officer.
What? Sorry, Bregwin. My soul just escaped my husk of a body. I am a ruined and broken vessel of sorrow and regret.
Skies and stars, may their souls pass peacefully through the storm. Welcome. You are the Pathfinder, yes? I am Roshua Lin.
What are these symbols on the wall?
Our people worship in private here, and I give the blessings. Would you like one?
I'm a bit of a stranger to your faith.
A stranger in all things, perhaps. The blessing is offered with simple goodwill.
Why don't you practice religion in public?
Those who are slaves to the Ket are forbidden to express their spiritual beliefs. We honor their isolation by practicing privately. Faith is also strongest when no one sees it.
It would be an honor.
I give you strength and courage, yet be clear your heart.
You seem troubled.
Oh, Pathfinder Rider. I was just speaking a blessing for 2 of our young soldiers murdered by the Ket. So many dead or disappeared, but these 2 cuts are the deepest yet.
Do you need space? I can go.
It's all right. Speaking grief lessens it. These children were swayed by a new belief that's taken hold. A soul finds enlightenment through reincarnation, but some now think they can force this. They fling themselves at death, thinking they will be reborn stronger. Glory seekers, we call them.
Oh, I do like seeking glory. That's actually a total lie, but you know, whatever. Yeah.
How can they possibly know what they believe is true?
That is the great question of faith. I tried to speak to some of these misguided ones, but they didn't listen. And now, if you meet some of these glory seekers, do what you can to save them from death. That's all any of us can do.
Do I have to? Like, it feels like they want to die. Shouldn't I encourage them to die then? You know, if that's their shtick.
How do you become a priestess?
With great hardship. Only those who know darkness can lead others to light. I speak weekly words for those who seek them. They take my words to their families, so that they all find the strength I once longed for.
What do you believe?
In the never-ending growth of a soul that is reincarnated within a family. A righteous action in this life begets enlightenment in the next. And with that, a stronger dynasty.
What happens to the souls of exalted Angara?
This is our great heartache. They are kept from the family dynasty. Lost to us in all ways.
I mean...
Thank you.
God damn it. Hell. See, now I gotta stop playing Mario Kart. Ugh. So, first of all, thank you, Malcolm. But I will not thank Mr. Red. I refuse. See, it's against my religion. So that's going towards the Dead Rising. 1R, Shadow Hearts, Covenant, and Legend of Spyro. Oh, and then Mr. Red puts 3 towards Liar Prince, yes, Blind Prince, Lover, Tales of Graces, F. Done. Okay, there should be another one over here. Yep, there it is.
Give me a double dose of summer, quick.
And back to Mario Kart.
Yes, what is it? You're that alien they've been talking about on comms, aren't you? Why are you standing here?
Oh, I see the
Don't you have more important places to be?
I'm not sure which question I should answer first.
How about none of them? I simply wanted to express my surprise that someone was in my way.
Dr. Harim, maybe Ryder can help us with the emergency caches.
Emergency caches?
This is a war zone. Ket attacks are always a risk. Wounded? There's probably a cache of emergency medical supplies nearby. No substitute for real medical attention, but you'll survive long enough to reship.
Problem is the caches are empty right now. Restrained and no one's been out there to replenish supplies.
So, okay. I can help you with that.
There's no time to waste. I'll help with whatever you need.
Supply crates are stacked by the wall over there. Directions to the caches are with them. You have a vehicle?
Of course.
Good. Get going.
I'm sorry, I just got green shelled, red shelled, blue shelled, and then lightninged in the space of about 5 seconds. I'm still in first, you jackasses. You can't beat me. Don't you understand? Obviously they don't. No, all they're doing is trying to limit how many coins I make this map. That's all they really want. Jackasses. Look, I'm trying to unlock parts, okay? Okay. My dad built a space station, okay? And owns a dealership.
These are the emergency medical supplies the doctor mentioned. We have to get them to the caches. Sam, you saving the location data?
Of course, Pathfinder.
Yes, Federation Builder. We need to do a Chimera run of Mass Effect Andromeda and Mario Kart 8. Let's make it happen. Yeah, you and me both, Dakota. There's a reason I spent 2 hours doing side quests off camera last night. And we'll be doing that again today during the lunch break.
Something I can do for you?
You the requisitions officer?
It also goes faster because I can read at my pace rather than listening to these yahoos.
Of course not. I don't know what you've heard, but everything is running fine.
I saw the messages sent to you. What are you hiding?
Keep your voice down.
Yeah, a little too loud, a little too loud.
This news contained. No one knows the shipments have stopped. If word gets around, we'll have a serious morale drop. I need to investigate this quietly.
You have any leads?
Not much. The supplies make it planetside, but never reach the base. The obvious answer is the Ket. Sabotage is their style. We changed our drop point, but no luck. I can't send someone to investigate without word getting around. I guess there's no avoiding it eventually.
I can take a look at the drop point. That way, no one will panic.
I can't sanction an official search, but I also can't stop you from investigating on your own. The nav point for the last drop location is in my personal console. You seem to be adept at decryption, so I'll let you figure out the rest.
I don't mind listening to voice acting for long periods of time. In fact, I actually prefer it, especially if it's good. But, you know, it's, yes, off the deeper end, is the short answer. Yeah, I talked to an NPC and it's like, alright, time to go to...
Decryption successful, Pathfinder. Updating your nav system with a supply drop point.
Melatonin tag. Tag your... what? I'm awake, I'm awake. You'll notice how this is kind of indicative of what I was talking about earlier, right? Think about how much we've accomplished today. It's been, what, 2 hours and 15 minutes? So, we had a dungeon and combat sequence side by side. Okay, that's cool. Wasn't actually an explore sequence, so it's mostly a combat sequence. So we had a combat sequence. Okay. And then we finished that one quest and saved the Solarians. Cool. That's awesome. Then we talked to people, talked to people, talked to people, talked to people, talked to people. Went to a new destination, talked to people, talked to people, and talked to people. We haven't even hit the explore point yet. We're still in town, talking to people, and picking up quests. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to chop off a little bit early, but I'm just going to sit here and keep playing the game and push through all this nonsense. So you don't have to endure this. So I'll see you in a bit.